Well, I'm Tom.
I'm Marquita.
And we're destined to explore.
That we are.
And we just finished one of the biggest upgrades that we've done on our RV. What we did was we switched over to Roadmaster slipper springs and MORryde shocks. This is the view underneath with everything all installed. And we got the shocks in on the supports for them. The slipper springs up there. No equalizer in the middle anymore. That just avoids transferring energy from one shock to the other and back and forth as it goes over bumps. So it's looking pretty good. I'm looking forward to getting out on the road and testing it out and see how it goes. Tore off all the MORryde stuff. We installed the slipper spring box, we installed the slipper springs and then the shocks, and we put that whole thing together and we did a bunch of testing to see how it did. This is part 2 of a 2-part series. Part 1, we'll link that in the description below with the full installation video. This is part 2 where we review the basically review the system and the testing we did to see if is it really better. So the high-level results, if I was a Roadmaster marketing person, I might tell you that Roadmaster beat the MORryde system in every test we ran, and in some cases it was up to 50% better. But there's also a saying that you can make statistics say anything you want. And as we dug into the results, the data and analyzation was far more complex than I ever expected.
Yeah. I don't know what to say after that. Why did we feel like we had to change the suspension anyway?
So the MORryde Series 3000 is definitely an upgrade suspension. So, you know, if you've just got a, I don't know what you call it, a little wishbone equalizer on your camper, MORryde would be a huge upgrade, and this would be a huge upgrade to that as well. But there's a few things that I didn't particularly care for on that, and the primary thing is it's got, you know, bushings in the ends of the springs, and those bushings just get destroyed. So last fall, before we headed to Arizona, I put in a new wet bolt and bushing in here. But this is what that bushing looks like after about 6,000 miles.
Wow.
So
that's not good.
So the wet bolts and bushings are a great improvement over some of the other options that are out there. Clearly it's not a fantastic option because, you know, like I said, after about 6,000 miles, these are just about destroyed. And all of the bushings in the whole MORryde were destroyed. So we would have needed to tear that whole thing apart pretty much anyways and put all the bushings in, which, you know, may have been destroyed in another 6,000 miles. So
that seems like a short period of time to have something that important.
Yeah.
Demolish.
Right. So one of the big pluses about the Roadmaster is, one, it greatly reduces the number of maintenance points on the suspension. But this has got wet bolts here, here, there, and over there. The new slipper springs would really only have 2 points that you could grease. And that's dependent upon whether if you use the nylon bushing that they have in the springs. We'll show that later. If you use that nylon bushing, you don't have to grease it at all. If you decide to use a wet bolt with a brass or bronze bushing in there, then you would need to grease, but you've only got the 2 bolts on the end. So it's significantly reduced on the amount of moving parts and parts that need to have maintenance on them. So the new springs came with what they call a heavy-duty nylon bushing in the end, which is basically maintenance-free. We'll see how well that holds up over time. You can put wet bolts in there as well, but, you know, I'm thinking you'd probably have the same problems with wet bolts in there as we did in the MORryde. So
that's why we did it, but we wanted to also provide not just how does it feel subjectively to us as we drive the vehicle with the RV attached, but also do some relatively unscientific.
Right. So my thought was, you know, we've seen lots of videos that people have done reviews on this, and they've said, oh yeah, this is much better. I can tell the difference in the truck. And I thought, well, if that's the case, we should be able to prove that. And so what we did was we used a app on the phone. All right, so this is how we're doing our super unscientific testing. We're just going to use my phone. I have an accelerometer app here. So when I go, it will measure shocks and things. So the way we're going to mount this is we're going to, I've got two little fixtures, we'll call them here, that I cut out of a couple of scrap pieces of wood. This just helps the phone lay flat. And then this lets the phone basically get clamped in. We're going to use a clamp, and we're going to clamp this to the table in the back where we're going to have the most severe conditions that we'll find in the camper. So the first route we drove was what we call kind of a low-speed route, maybe urban. It was about a 6-mile route. It was a little rough. There's some good number of pavement. What do you call those?
Pavement breaks and
pavement breaks and things like that, and a few bumps in there.
some railroad tracks.
Some railroad tracks. So we drove that route, and that route generally averaged around 35 to 45 miles an hour. The different roads that we were on, and then the second route that we did was what we call a highway route, and that was all about 55 or 65 miles an hour.
And we did that with the MORryde suspension before we changed it, and then we did the exact same routes, pretty much in the exact same conditions, almost same time of day.
Right.
After we put the suspension on.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So maybe we should talk about some issues with the testing.
Do tell.
So, in no means are we saying this is some absolute scientific test. There's obviously variations in the way we drove the routes. I mean, we tried to hold the same speed limits. Sometimes we get stopped at stoplights, sometimes we wouldn't. The shorter route with the bumps in it, depending on where you were in that road, you could have certainly variations in the testing. But we tried to do things as equal as possible. A couple other issues. The MORryde system has about 19,000 miles on it, and all the bushings are blown out on that. So that may make the testing the MORryde system worse, or could be better. I don't know. The Roadmaster system, the springs were brand new, so there's no break-in on those. So in theory, as we put a few thousand miles on this, hopefully that gets a little better than what the testing was.
Okay. So it's hard to eliminate all extraneous factors that you're going to make a pure before and after kind of test, but we did the best we could with it.
Right. So what do you think of the new suspension so far? Can you tell the difference?
I don't know.
So my thought when we first put it on and drove was I thought I could tell a little bit of a difference. But I was really eager to see what the data would show. Before we get into the test data, let's talk about some high-level results first off. The biggest reduction was in the G's was from front to back forces, then side to side forces. Those are the forces that you're going to notice the most when you're driving, because they're going to have the biggest impact on the vehicles. The front to back forces are going to be what you kind of feel more of the chucking forces, and the side to side is going to have some impact on the truck as well. But when the trailer is just going in a vertical orientation, there's probably less feedback going into the truck. The front to back forces are somewhat interesting, and I don't know, I'm certainly no RV expert, but those could be even more important when you think about the bottom of the RV going one direction and the top of the RV going another direction. Those could be the kinds of forces that cause sidewall cracking, those kinds of things, where the RV is built for a vertical orientation. All of the support members are going vertical, so all of that should be more supported. So the front to back may be more important. I don't know. If somebody has an idea on that, I'd love to hear a comment in the comment section below.
So when you talk about the suspension, when you're measuring the differences between them, is it how it feels to the truck?
The phone measured forces going this way, that way, and this way. So we weren't measuring forces in the truck, which would have been an interesting thing to do. We were measuring forces inside the RV to what the RV was feeling from the suspension. So as I said, when we got to the vertical forces, that's where things kind of got really interesting. Particularly on the low speed route that we did, the G-forces were actually slightly higher with the Roadmaster system. When we ran the highway test, they were basically equal. So there wasn't a huge difference in the vertical forces, particularly on the highway. So after we shared the data with Roadmaster, we had a discussion regarding the weight of our RV. Our total weight loaded was around 14,250 pounds from a weigh that we had done a few years ago. Our RV is roughly that weight now. Our heaviest axle was 5,750 pounds. So what they suggested to us was perhaps we should not have gone with the 7K springs, we should have gone with 6K springs. Their springs are rated for 10% more than their rating, so a 6K spring was rated for up to 6,600 pounds. They thought perhaps putting a different spring in there would provide a better vertical performance. So we did go ahead and replace the 7K springs with 6K springs, and we re-ran both of those tests again. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the detailed results, and I've got some graphs here to show what the results were. So on this particular graph, blue is the Series 3000, the MORryde. The orange here is the Roadmaster 6K springs, and green is the Roadmaster 7K springs. So as you can see in this result here, the total G's for the 6 and 7K springs was about the same. The vertical on the low speed result was slightly less with the 6K, slightly higher on the 7s. The right to left is slightly lower. There's certainly improvement in the front to back, with the 7K actually showing a higher improvement in the front to back G's. And then the vertical, the 6K springs did slightly better than the 7K springs. If we go ahead and look at the highway G's, again, now you can see the total G's on the 7K was actually lower than the 6K, and again, that resulted from the vertical and the front to back forces. So there was a part of me that when we initially looked at these results that maybe the 6K springs were a bad choice. If we look at the highway force G forces greater than half a G, the data suggests that there may be a significant improvement on the highway with the 6K springs over the 7K springs. So this may suggest that one, having the proper spring size for the weight of your trailer is important, which would be maybe a little obvious, but it may also suggest that the 6K springs are really performing a lot better. The reason I use the word suggests is in our testing, we had 20 miles on basically 20 miles of highway testing, and when we start looking at the total G forces over half a G, there aren't a lot of data points. So not having a lot of data points in that range lowers the statistical probability that the data is valid and very important. So far we're happy with what we've got. But we're going to continue to monitor things, as we drive, how it rides in the truck, what it looks like in the trailer when we're done, and if anything changes from what we've seen so far and what these results show, we will definitely pin a comment in the comment section below. All right, well, that's all the data from testing. We do feel like it rides up smoother in the truck. It feels like there's less trucking and bucking of the vehicle. I really do like the lower number of maintenance points. The MORryde, I think, had something like 14 wet bolts to grease, whereas this has 4 potentially that you could grease, but we're using the heavy-duty nylon bushings in there, hoping those are going to work out real well, which pretty much eliminates all the greasing and maintenance on the system. One comment that I wanted to make is it seems like you're maybe a little more likely to lift your wheels off the ground when leveling. With this, it seems like there's maybe slightly less travel than the MORryde system had. The concern with lifting your wheels off with the MORryde system was it's possible that you can have your shackles flip over, which is apparently a real nightmare to get straightened out. Since there's no shackles to flip over on this, not a big deal if you lift your wheels off the ground. We've still put a couple blocks under there just to keep things in contact. If you've stuck around this long and watched this whole dang video, we'd really love it if you would hit the like button and subscribe. Really helps us out a lot. And until then, until the next video, we'll see you then.
But I don't want to be in it.
Well, you are in it.
I know. I don't want to be in it.